Hey, Jules Blessed Vegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And to those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. So thanks for all your comments on yesterday's video. I was really showing how I've been terrifically struggling and that I really just felt like there was almost a spirit of oppression over me, and just how incredibly shocked I was at how falling like so hard and so fast just came upon me, seemingly snuck upon me. And of course, in retrospect, I can see all the steps as to why I faltered. But I was talking with my younger sister, and she is a health person. That's literally her profession, is motivating others to get on with their health and, being a health coach and stuff like that. And she said, do you feel like you struggle worse than anyone else? And then she was like, because if that's your mindset, there's a great chance that your mindset is actually causing it. Like if you're thinking it's worse for you than anyone else, that mindset alone would be increasing the chances of it being worse, right? And I thought it was really interesting, and I had to tell her straight up that that was not true for me, that I wasn't hanging out in woe's me, that I recognized what my part was, but that I was just really surprised. And that for me personally, because as much as she is an absolute health guru, I'm a religious and spiritual, guru. And sometimes the closer I get to the light, the more bugs there are. Right? So as I get closer to God and become more prayerful, and I've been very prayer intentioned the last few months, not just for the elections, which of course has been a huge thing, but for the COVID, of course, for my students' families, as I've had to be teaching online, certainly for my niece, my nephew, who remain in difficult situations with their health, and then of course my cousins. So I've been really intensely praying, and one of my, if not my greatest weakness, remains my food. And I just feel like when the darkness tries to get me, that is where it gets me, because I will falter easiest in that arena. But no, by no means was I thinking, oh, I have it harder than anyone else. Like, I have to laugh to even hear myself say that. It is so not who I am. What is true, though, I do most certainly see how there can be a spirit of oppression. I can see how when I fall very hard. And that's just kind of what went on. And I couldn't get my footing. Like, it reminded me of last year. It was really funny, and I shared a video on it where I had gone to the grocery store and I went down an aisle, and all of a sudden I was just slipping, like literally like a cartoon running in place with my feet slipping out from under me. And I ended up landing on my butt, of course, and hard. And I was in shock because I had no expectation to fall, and I just didn't know what happened. Ironically, someone had spilled a bag of sugar. And so it was a situation where sugar had literally knocked me on my ass. I don't know what else to say. Which certainly, for all the times I'd abused sugar, it had a right to get me back. So it was super funny. Well, that's kind of what this reminded me of. I felt like in the last couple of weeks, upon having even the slightest awareness that I was out of control, I just couldn't get my footing. Like each time, before, and my little sister always says, reminds me, I should say, that, you can certainly slip once, and that's just a slip. But if you slip more than once, it starts to become that same habit, right? And so what was happening was I would slip. I was clean for like 4 days, which is typical. The microbiome starts to scream. All of a sudden, it wants all the nonsense that you'd been eating. You can kind of expect it, But it was a situation where I made it like 4 days, and then I slipped. And then I made it 2 days. And then I didn't slip for a day. I slipped for 2 days, you know? And then I made it for one day and slipped for three. Like it got crazy fast. Oh my goodness. And I just didn't feel like I could get ahead of it. And then all my old haunts, all my terrible thoughts and you know, put downs and all of the terrible things that my mind goes to were back. And the sickest part of me, which was like, screw it, we can just go with the rest of the population and die early. It's a tough world anyway. What does it matter? I mean, like, that's how insane it became. And it was just so familiar for the worst times in my life regarding food and addiction. And anyway, it was just a wake-up call. So it was never a poor me, or I have it harder than anyone, or I can't recover like others. It was never any of that. I absolutely have had pristine health many times, and more often than not, certainly, right, in these last couple of years, and have all the hope that I will absolutely at some point not falter, just go forward. You know, that this was just the beginning stages of certainly my vegan walk, my raw vegan walk. You know, it's only been a little over 2 years in July. So I'm okay. I'm okay with that. But I appreciated what she presented because I had to think about it. And then I realized, no, that just was not true for me, you know? And I'm glad that it wasn't. But with that, I'm realizing that I did drop many of my tools. As I said, I stopped recording my food, always a big mistake. I stopped doing my morning lemon water. It's been tricky, and I don't have my Invisalign in right now, just all the crud glued to my teeth, but it's been kind of tricky with that Invisalign because they take on all color of whatever it is you consume. So sometimes I'm walking around with bright yellow for a week or red, you know, no matter what I seemingly do. And luckily I get to replace them every couple weeks. But with that, I've been compromising, and I think that was part of the problem. Not only was I fasting at least 20 hours so that I could just have 4 hours with them off, which is all that one is allotted. And that was okay, but it could have absolutely led to my detriment as a binge-prone individual. But also, it just seemed like too much work to do the lemon water. Because normally you just rinse your mouth, and no way can I afford for my teeth to be in trays with acidic acid on them. So that kind of got me to, I had to rethink that. And there were just a couple of things like that. You know, I've only had them 3 months, and ironically, in the big picture, school started 3 months ago as well. So there were a lot of changes all at the same time. I literally got my Invisalign like July 30th, and I started school August 7th. And it was just, of course, you hit the ground running. It's just been momentum ever since school started. So I'm happy to have this reality check, you know, a 3-month mark reality check, because again, the calendar is my own. I don't have to answer to anybody. Nobody has marks on me. It's all my own goal, my own objective, my own calendar, my own desire. And I just have to make sure that my why, and certainly equally important, my plan, is absolutely in place. And I slipped on that. So praise God, today was a very healthy day. Going back into the 12 steps, I absolutely reminded myself all day long, not just one day at a time, but literally one moment, 1 millisecond, one episode, just a moment to say, let's get through the next 5 minutes. Let's get through the next minute. Let's get through the next half hour. What is your plan for later? And how are you not going to act on it? And I never have trouble eating at night. Like, that is just not one of my things. So when the kitchen is closed, it really is for me. Reminding myself that the tea bar is open is beautiful. If I already have my teeth in, I'm pleased to just have warm water. I actually enjoy that. So I definitely have a plan, certainly reminding me of my serenity prayer and just knowing that this day is over and that I only have to worry about the day that we're on. So I was originally going to measure myself and tell you my measurements. I started to measure myself, and I'm happy to report that my arms, which are a freak of nature, but they're coming. I mean, it's no offense, arm, but they're a bit of a freak of nature. That my arms were down 3/4 of an inch, respectively, meaning the right arm was down a half inch and the left arm was down 3/4 of an inch, which was interesting. It just depends on how I've used them in my exercise, but I was happy to see that change. I started to move on to my thighs, which I imagine did really well because of the different exercises I've been doing, but I started to panic. I started to think about food that wasn't mine. I immediately realized that between weighing myself, which I had no business doing, and then this whole game, and to an extent it's a game. If you are on your plan, the weight will come off no matter what. You never have to weigh yourself again. If you are working out, the inches will come off and come back on based on doing the exercise. You never have to measure them. And of course, there's always other ways of measuring things like clothes, which are not fitting me as well. And that's dangerous because I got rid of all my fat clothes, right? So again, I decided to not do that. If you guys are great, I may have the courage, certainly next month or in December. It might be a celebration of the new year when I have much more confidence under me. But right now, I could tell it was going to be a problem. So forgive me if I let you down on that. I hope you guys are doing your stuff. I'm just happy to share my truth. So like if you like, join us if you haven't subscribed. And until we talk again, my friends, I am here for you. Share in the comments below and know that you are blessed.